Welcome on back to the
Super cinema bros
Podcast.
What's going on, Josiah?
What's going on, Austin? I'm doing well.
All right.
So here we are again, talking about another movie we just watched this past weekend, different days. The Creator has John David Washington as the main actor, and dang, I should have looked up the Gareth Edwards. Gareth Edwards, the name of the director.
He wrote and directed it.
Yeah. He wrote one, and then didn't he also do the Godzilla movie?
He might have.
I think he did the first Godzilla movie where they had the Mutos like out in Vegas, before King of the Monsters, and it was like the Godzilla that sort of started the current Godzilla little saga. But back to this movie, The Creator. It's set in a world, I want to say it was like 2065 or so not too far from where we're at. It falls within gently the sort of like cyberpunk genre in a way. It could it's not exactly. Anyways, I'll try to make this short. Humans advanced AI rapidly and quickly. Unfortunately, there's a big dramatic event that wound up happening, and let's give our disclaimer, Austin.
Spoiler alert, spoiler alert, spoiler alert. You have been warned. You have been warned. Come back after you've seen the movie. ... Now that you have, we will continue with our conversation.
Thanks, man. Yeah, it just makes it so much easier to talk about it if we are able to spoil things. So, a big giant portion of LA gets bombed by a nuclear explosion, and it is blamed on we learned that it's blamed on the AI. So humanity is banded together to more or less extinguish AI from the planet. However, our New Asia location has not, and so AI are the ones that are around are there, trying to find a way to survive. And there is a creator of the AI that is still out there somewhere. Pretty early in the movie, we have this United States military force that makes the declaration that they're going to go there and extinguish, and they've been trying to take out this creator. Was it named? The name was Niryama. Man, I'm a butcher it right now.
Yeah, it's not Nirvana.
Yeah, no, right.
It's
Nirmata. I think it was like Nirmata.
Nirmata. I think that's it too.
Yeah. So, anyways, our main character's on David Washington. We pick up with him at the very beginning of the movie, and he is deep undercover. He's made a life with AI beings. Secretly does not see them as beings still, sees them as just programming, and we get that multiple times in the movie. But importantly is he has a wife and a child. And unfortunately, U.S. military winds up launching a missile to try to eradicate that group. They make this decision early, even though he's on a mission to find Nirmata by the military. They wind up screwing him over, and then by a series of events, well, his wife discovers that he is still doing this line of work, and she decides to leave him, and she gets on a boat. She leaves on a boat. Missile comes down and blows up all those boats, and he winds up losing his wife and child. So most of the movie then skips ahead, and he's put in a situation where the military comes back to him, and they're like, "We've found." He doesn't want to join them. They want him to join them. They're gonna go in. They've information that the robots or AI have this super weapon that's gonna take out the United States super weapon that's supposed to eradicate all of the AI and is getting close to being able to do that once they just find all the remaining camps and bases. Um, so military recruits him to go back in because they have good reason to believe that his wife is still alive. Goes in there, uh, discovers this child that is essentially that is the weapon, because it has the ability to, as it grows, one, it has the ability to grow as an AI being. It's the first, I guess, child AI, sort of like construct being. But as it grows, it has the ability to take control of any technology in a ever growing radius. So eventually, it'll be able to take over all technology on the entire planet, control it, and then through that, effectively destroy Nomad, which is the trillions of dollars super weapon that the United States uses to, it's using to blow up and take out all these AI. So we have a journey where he winds up coming across this child, and I guess for a while he's trying to like extract. Am I getting that right? He's trying to get out with the child back to the United States, but then winds up finding himself as a I guess declared a traitor at one point in the movie, and finds himself developing a relationship with his kid, and then turning to then destroy Nomad.
Hmm. Yeah, that's basically the gist of what's going on. Um, there's like a small subplot with the American government, or the military, I should say, and they're doing some covert ops themselves, and there's a mission that goes wrong, so on and so forth. So they're trying to find David Jonathan David Washington's character, and yeah, it's
Joshua.
like, yeah, Joshua. They're trying to find Joshua and the kid, and there's all this stuff going on. Okay, so we have the basic outline of the plot.
Yeah.
So let's get to our first question. Josiah, what do you think did not work with this movie?
I believe the primary thing for me that did not work for the movie was I don't think that it was deftly. I don't think it was executed well. There's a lot in there that I like storyline wise, and I see what they were doing, what they accomplished, with the purposes for like what they were setting out to do. But I just feel like none of the things were executed or given the time and deftness of execution that it deserved. Primarily, while I did feel a connection between Joshua and Alfie, it did not feel earned for me. And I feel like it was really important for them to have earned that like connection. It's like it's built in because the Alfie is effectively like a clone of Joshua's unborn child. But I still wanted there to be a few more scenes, or at least one like really big, important scene shared between the two of them, where Joshua clearly starts to care for or like fall in love with Alfie, and vice versa. Alfie is apparently programmed to be inclined to like Joshua, and I think that goes pretty far, because Alfie keeps showing up once they first discover each other, time and time again, and is like slowly tailing him like a couple times. But yeah, I feel like there was a moment. I'll get to it. There was a moment where I think they wanted me to feel as if Joshua changed from just only thinking as AI, as programming and not beings, to then beings. And then I think there's just a number of events that wind up happening because they need to happen. So yeah, I just feel like it was like it's like 70% there, but I think there's like an execution jump, that final 30% that needed to have made to like truly feel like it was earning things for me. That makes any sense.
Yeah. I feel like this would have been a better movie if either Christopher Nolan or Wes Anderson had directed it, because if that were the case, the dialogue, which this film really needed, the dialogue would have been on point. I
Mhm,
almost want to say if
mhm.
Tarantino had directed it as well, because these are three directors that are very they're intent on delivering when it comes to dialogue.
Mhm, mhm.
And there were so many things in this movie that uh, that suffered from pacing issues, that were
Mhm.
rushed, that were not fleshed out. I think this movie would have been better if it was 3 hours long, just so that you had time to flesh all these things out.
Yeah.
You had things that were happening so quickly, and you said you were like 70% there. I'm like 65% there as far as like, you know, it, it just wasn't. Yeah, I kept thinking like, so this is kind of like a dystopian cyberpunk future version of The Golden Child from the 80s, the Eddie Murphy movie,
Mm.
where you have like this chosen one child.
Yeah.
And there's a bunch of scenes in the movie where it's like they're telling you he's like he's like Lilu from The Fifth Element. I feel like
Okay. Yeah.
this is a lesser Fifth Element, and it's right along like Elysium, the Matt Damon movie,
Oh, yeah.
Section
Uh-huh.
8. Section 8 and Elysium are both movies that are fine, they're okay, but they could have been masterpieces. They could have been amazing. These could have been really great movies, but they
Mm, mhm,
suffered from one thing or another. And
mhm.
I think a lot of it comes down to pacing.
Yeah.
Um, I was watching another movie review on this before I'd actually seen the movie, and they were saying that like this movie in terms of the budget didn't break 100 million, which for all the
So,
special
yeah,
effects that
some
it
were
had
saying it was
is
80,000,000,
quite
yeah.
impressive. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
but
Mhm.
so that's cool from like the technical standpoint. This is like a big industrial light and magic movie. If you watch the credits, it's just wall to wall ILM. And as somebody
Mm.
who's an 80s baby who was blown away by Industrial Light and Magic, and is just ha- Industrial Light and Magic has a very special place in my heart.
Yeah.
I like what they did in terms of the special effects. Special effects are fine,
Yeah.
but yeah, like I wanted to see more back and forth dialogue discussing the situation between the child
Alfie.
and Alfie, and is it you said Josh?
Joshua.
Joshua. I wanted to like to be more like there's more dialogue. I mean, when they first meet each other, it's like, oh, does this child even speak? And does he speak English? And then
Mhm.
like it's like, okay, or maybe it's gonna take something for him to actually speak up. Or maybe he doesn't speak unless he has a reason to. But then all of a sudden he's just speaking in English. I'm like, all right. But then he also speaks other languages. But the way that they showed you that was just kind of it was a bit clunky in my
Yeah.
in my estimation, my assessment.
Yeah.
It could have a lot of these things could have been smoothed over if they had more time. Like it does like the kind of the Tarantino, the Wes Anderson thing where it has like a little title card, the creator, the child, the mother, like, and it does all these
Yes.
things, and it's
Yeah.
kind of cool. I kind of like it when movies do that,
Yeah.
but I almost feel like if you're gonna do that, you really need to take your time with each of those, each of those parts of the three acts play.
Yeah.
Because if you're giving me a title card that says the child, I really need to like grow to love this child, be invested in the character of this
Yeah.
child. I
Yeah.
really need to like either want him to succeed or not want him to succeed, or whatever the case may
Yeah.
be.
Yeah.
Um, it's kind of like
Alfie,
we
by
need
the
it.
way, pardon,
Yeah.
Alfie, by the way, was a girl.
Yes. I'm sorry. Yes. Alfie was a girl. Um, yeah, like there are things like where Joshua takes her to his homie in Tokyo,
Mm.
and he's like, he's like prodding in her little gear, like her little gear where it's like you can see through it. It's very impressive
Yeah.
in terms of
Yeah.
special effects. It's like, oh man, she's gonna grow more powerful. I'm like, what? How do you know any of this? You're just poking and prodding. Her mechanics of her whatever, her body, the mechanics of her head and the gear twist. It doesn't look any different than any of the other characters that have that.
Yeah. Mhm.
There's not some like glowing emerald in
Yeah.
her skull.
Yeah.
There's no Aang from the Avatar arrow that shows you that this person is special. I kept thinking about the
Yeah.
Avatar the whole time I was
Yeah.
watching. It's like, I'm like, how do you know that this like it's gonna grow in power and it's gonna be able to take like it's not even an exposition dump. It's just like we're just telling you about this so that we don't have to like explain it later or something.
Sure.
It was clunky writing.
That scene, I think, is one of the best scenes in the entire movie that highlights the state of the film itself. Period. It's like
Yeah.
it yeah. Go ahead, keep going. I'll come
No,
back
no,
to it,
no.
but keep going.
Yeah. So like, and that's the other thing. All of Joshua's friends that end up following him or going along with him, and then they meet unceremonious ends. It's like I didn't have enough time to really get to know these guys either. I don't really care that this guy died. That he gave his life for these people. That his friend that he hasn't seen in years, his robot girlfriend that we're supposed to care about. But I just don't quite care about any of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like it's weird. It's just like I don't know. That didn't work for me. Like why are robots like living like a stereotypical poor South Pacific, Southeast Asian person? I don't get that. Like
Mhm. Mhm.
why? Oh, and the big one, Ken Watanabe. I'm a big Ken Watanabe fan,
Oh
and he did
yeah.
well in this movie.
He did.
But I'm like, he just says this thing as like a throwaway line. Oh, it turns out you guys made a mistake. It was a human error. I'm like, what? I mean, like he just said it like, wait, we're just gonna walk past this. This whole conflict is
Yeah.
because somebody goofed on somebody goofed on their calculator. Like what? Like
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
all these people died,
There
and
was
like
no greater yeah.
like like okay, if the movie was like, oh, it's okay if you search around the edge, but don't go too deep. You might not like what you find. Dun dun dun. Right, and then he
Mhm.
finds out,
Mhm.
oh, it was all a lie. It turns out
Mhm.
humans did it, and then in some weird ploy, we're gonna blame the robots.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
like, that would have been a better that would have been a better way to tell this story, right? I also think
Yeah.
that I was expecting Alfie to be Joshua's child, right?
Yeah.
Because his wife or his wife who turned out to be the AI,
Mhm.
big plot twist in case you didn't see it coming from like 300 miles away. I think they should. I mean, the girl that they casted, she's fantastic little actress. Shout out to her. I think it would have been cool if they found like half black, half Asian actor or actress
I
to be the child.
know.
And then it's like,
Yeah.
oh no, y'all can't kill this because this is my baby, this is my child. I can't explain to you why, or maybe I can. And they're like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, we understand it's your child, but it's still gotta go. It's still the enemy.
Mhm.
Nah, yo, can't do it. And then in transmission, all right,
Mhm.
he's defected. Sitting in the
Mhm.
Kraken. You know what I mean? Like it could have been something
Mhm.
like that. I'm like, all right, now the stakes are really high because like, that's my child. I thought I lost my child. I thought, well,
Yeah.
how are you even
Yeah.
alive? And then you get to like, oh, she's on the breath, she's on life support, right?
Mhm.
Um, my so there's that. Um, okay, this movie does what movies do that always kind of like gives me an anxiety attack and kind of bothers me is like they create these artificial time, like, oh, 5 minutes, this thing's gonna blow, and then like everything
Yeah.
goes wrong to
Uh-huh.
make it so that like either I'm just gonna survive by the skin of my teeth or one of us is gonna have to sacrifice themselves. It's like,
Yeah.
Or maybe you wait till he goes in and gets the thing and then you set the bomb and then you guys are like, you close the door and then you do all these things. So you like that, they were in what was the big weapon that they were
Nomad.
in, the Nomad, yeah. Like you could have written it so like he didn't have to like, oh no, now I'm like hanging on this missile, it's about to get shot. Alfie, hurry up, And then he finally stopped something just in the nick of time. I'm like, all right, can we not nick of time this? Can we just like, can people just be competent? I'm asking for a whole lot from Hollywood, but can people just be competent? Maybe
That's
not.
honestly one of my biggest flaws for this movie also. Like,
Oh
this
my
movie has so
gosh.
many characters make the dumbest of decisions I I can't even understand. Like, they're supposed to be these high level, like, really some are AI, some are humans that are these high level, military agents. Like, some of the dumbest decisions I've ever seen. This one guy's like,
Yeah.
I'm crack open this door, but don't go inside because I'm gonna go help out because we're going to help out one at a time because that's the best way that we can go and help out.
Ba-na-ba-na-bum. All
Hmm.
right. Yeah, I'm just gonna stand here and this movie's gonna come to a grinding halt. It's like, yeah, come on. Like, have you seen movies? Can we not do this again?
Hmm.
All right, so those are my main gripes. Did you have any other gripes you want to get before we get to the pluses?
Yeah. Okay. So you did wanted to remind me of a couple. Oh yeah. Okay. One. um, I can accept it if they had maybe explained it a tiny bit more. But whenever you have AI and technology, there's like these major benefits that come from that compared to a flesh and blood human being. But it turns out you just like shoot their spine or something and they die just as easily as any other human. And like I could be okay with that if they had maybe somehow established that a little bit better. I'm like, wait, this is a computer. Like there's like some of them, okay, it's got like a battery inside of it, so it's able to like, if it's crazy resilient. If it's only a head, you can still get information from it or something like that. But for whatever magical reason you can't revive it, you could just still get information from it. I'm like, why did they design? I mean, maybe they could have told me that we've designed artificial intelligence to be just as frail as human beings because they need to be stopped if they need to be shot in the streets or something like that. Like I don't know. It was kind of
Bro,
strange. I was like,
Ken Watanabe had a standby switch on the back of his head. He's sleeping and he just click. Are you serious?
dang. It doesn't even have a sensor to like know that something's getting close to like pulling his switch. Um,
Like
wild,
in order,
wild.
yeah, you would have to go full like Millennium Man or no Bicentennial. Like was that Robin Williams movie where he's like a robot and he turns into a human?
Oh, okay.
Um,
I know what you're talking about. I
yeah, like
forget what
you
it
would have
was.
to
Yeah.
go heavy into that direction. Like we're sentient and we want to live as humans, as our career. Like, you would have to go like
Mhm.
so like Gattaca, like
Mhm. Mhm.
whatever, like a Space Odyssey. And again, that the movie would have to be another 45 minutes long to like really flesh that out to make it meaningful.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
man, he just went up and like click click. I'm like, I mean, why are we even killing these robots? Just hit the switch, or just like an EMP bomb, like electromagnetic pulse, and just
Yeah.
like and just call
Mhm.
it a day. Like, what are we doing out here?
Mhm. Mhm.
This is ridiculous. Like,
Instead, just spend trillions of dollars to have the slowest moving ship you could ever imagine that's seemingly exposed to any sort of fire. If someone were to get a missile up there, maybe it's okay. I can assume it's got a defense system, but still, I when they first show that ship moving around, like shooting its lights on the ocean, I'm like, okay, I guess they figure it's so big and obvious that they wanted to have some cool visual effects, the light shining down on the ocean, scanning the ocean in most random places for no reason. Like it happens to be in like almost every background, it seems like There's Nomad. It moves like 15 miles an hour, but for whatever reason, it's every location needs to be whatever it has to be, and it'll be teleporting around the planet. Yeah. Um.
And again,
Man.
this begs the question, all right, how could if AI is part of life and all these things, how could a person like make a mistake that would vaporize all of LA? Right? Like, did he like spill coffee in the console? Oh crap! Like, what
Yeah.
happened? Like,
I
like,
know.
and there's no robot. Hey, don't do that.
Yeah.
Actually, do this
Yeah.
instead. Like,
Yeah. Like you point out, no one presses into that in the slightest. Ken just is like, yeah, it was an error. It
yo,
was done by humans. It was put on AI,
you've
but
seen
we'll
Office
continue
Space,
on with the
right?
story.
You've seen Office Space,
Yeah.
right? Remember he writes a program and then the program takes way more money out of like the bank account than it was supposed to. He's like, I don't know. I think maybe I put the decimal in the wrong place. Like,
Yeah.
what button exists on what computer console that you could accidentally push that would vaporize a major United States city? Like, now I need a prequel to this movie just to understand how that could happen in the first
Yeah.
place.
Yeah. Yeah. And just thinking about it for a moment, I'm like,
Like,
okay. Let's say like so that there would be an investigation. Okay, let's just skip an investigation. It kind of would have been even more fascinating if they would have been like, all right, well, it got blown up. AI's responsible, but for another 30 years, humanity was like, AI is actually way too valuable to like just throw out the window. Yeah, we humans don't want to go back into the workforce. Like there's been so many AI taking over the workforce, and we don't. It's a one-off event. Like I'm like that could have been interesting to have them explored. Like yeah, like whether humanity would have given up on it or not. It's like if Amazon wound up somehow doing something. I'm like, but people still would actually use Amazon. Like it's like too convenient. But I can let it go that a nuclear explosion blowing up LA is blamed on AI. They get rid of it. I don't know even how they got rid of all the AI from everywhere in the first place either. That
yeah,
seems like that would have been a exceedingly difficult challenge in and of itself. Like we've seen the Matrix, right? Like I mean,
right. So yeah,
mhm,
there's some pretty gaping plot holes in this movie, to be
yeah.
clear.
But
All right.
even letting that go, even let that go.
Yeah.
Biggest crimes are connected to Joshua's relationship with Alfie. Yeah, I don't want him having any moments in which I'm truly, really feeling them. Like there are touching moments, but I feel like there's gaps in the relationship that's developing. And then when he does finding out that yeah, it's his own child, which yeah, like you mentioned by the way, I don't know why they didn't get like a Afro Latino kid. It's kind of morbid and not morbid. It's kind of twisted in a way to think that like did his wife like remove the African American genetic coding from like
Yeah, I
this
have no
child or
idea.
something?
I don't think this movie warrants that level of like interest, like
No.
exploration.
Yeah. I guess
They
not.
cast a cute Asian kid, and I'm not even mad at it.
Yeah.
But for the sake of the plot,
Yes. The kid was actually great. Well, which we'll
yeah,
get to later. Yeah. But okay, here is the most fascinating thing that I like. I know this is I can't say this is specifically a flaw with the movie, but something that I wanted. Um they never explored what like should the wife have actually given like all power to a clone of their child? Like, was she intending this child initially? Because she was developing this child while they were still together and while they were still very pregnant and still in love. And, you know, she was developing this kid in her own time, and Joshua had no idea. Like, was she intending for this kid, this AI kid, to be a twin of their actual child, and like the two of them together would like develop a bond that would then prevent this kid from becoming like drunk on power and destructive of the entire world? Like, Like, why didn't they even like bring up anything about that? Like, this kid is probably gonna like live for who knows how long, and she's giving like all power, not omnipotence, but it's like near omnipotence in the technological world to a child, and this child is gonna have to like grow up, you know.
Yeah.
I guess she thought that they're gonna raise the kid and like instill the kid with all these values and stuff like that, but like
But then there'd be two kids. There'd be their actual biological kid
there
and
would
that
be.
kid.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah,
Which
okay,
so
let me yeah, go ahead.
yeah, that I mean there's a plethora of things like within that they could have explored that they just didn't.
Right. Yeah, two things come to mind. It's like, okay, so after all that happened in the beginning, it's almost like he was like on probation or like he did something wrong. So now he's like doing like this like drudgery, like grunt work for some reason.
Mm,
Almost as if he was like doing like prison time or something like that. I didn't quite get that. Or maybe they didn't have any other jobs for him. But even more than that, like upon viewing the movie, I'm like, how terrible was this dude at his job? Hey, honey, what you doing back there? Oh, I'm just making coffee. She's intricately wiring this kid's brain together in a
uh-huh.
test tube.
Yeah.
Hey,
Mm.
how's that painting coming? Oh, it's going great. I'm getting the pastel colors right now. I'm just working on it. I'll be there in a minute. Like, how how did that get
Uh-huh.
past him?
Yeah,
Like, what was
yeah,
he doing?
yeah.
Yeah, I was like, all right,
Mhm.
well, clearly he
Now our
wasn't.
power keeps going out for whatever reason. Do you know what's going on?
Yeah,
I
right.
think I spilled some turpentine on the breaker. Let me
I can't
fix
find
that.
my power tools. Where'd they go? Right? Like, it's like, how did you not
Uh-huh.
know she was doing this? You know,
Yeah.
it's not like
They
it didn't
try to
even look
hide
like she
wave
was
it away
doing
by
it.
saying we both had our secrets.
But his whole
Man.
job was like infiltrating and finding out those secrets.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
like, I mean, that's a gigantic secret to hide from somebody.
Mhm. Mhm.
I'm building a child.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. It's very
Okay.
true.
Okay. All
Also,
right. All right.
like
Yeah, okay. Go ahead.
she took up being the creator after her father had passed. Like I guess they had no idea like about any of her family, and they just didn't talk about a lot of things apparently.
Right. See, I would have loved, they had like the little SD card that they took out and they could put in another one and you could
Mhm.
like talk, number one, at the very end, when they finally reunite and they just kiss, I like, oh man, I would have loved for them to have like at least a quick conversation about something. It's like, oh man, oh well, everything's blowing up, so we don't have time for that. I'm like, all right. Well, that's a
Yeah.
lost opportunity. And man, I wish they had like a chip of like the father, like the architect or whatever, like, could have had a conversation with him, you know,
Mhm. Yeah,
something,
man.
something that, I
It could have
mean,
been like our child is like is safe or something. Like didn't even say anything about no one they yeah, they just shared the moment and like, okay, they're the a being created from their love. This was not on their mind in the slightest, I guess.
right. Like her last memory is him, like, stabbing her in the back. Why are they just running
Mhm.
up and like, I got blown up
Yeah.
because of you,
Yeah. Yeah.
bro? I want answers. No, they just
Yeah.
kissed and then the whole thing blew up. Like, nah, no, no, that doesn't
Yeah.
quite work. This
Yeah.
movie needed another good 30 to 45 minutes for some
It's
exposition.
true. It's true. And like how I said earlier, the scene where his friend in Tokyo is like looking inside Alfie's ear space, technological ear space, and seeing how complex she was. It highlighted this movie. It had cool ideas, some interesting things, some places to go, but left nearly no explanation for anything. It would just like tell you the base minimum or get you from point A to point B to point C to point D with the most minimal amount of information. Because that scene, we all know they could have done a million other way, executed a million other ways to like show us. He literally put like a metal device into this space that actually looks the same as every other AIs,
Right.
and
Yeah.
was like, "Dang, this thing is gonna learn and grow and take over and be all powerful, basically." So, yeah, it just was a perfect highlight of like, yeah, the movie's got some cool things to do, but it's not actually gonna really explain it or let us live in it.
Right.
But let's go on over to some things we did like about the movie.
Okay. Yes. Uh, I'll give my list. It's pretty quick. Special effects were great, and the acting, given with what they had, all the performances were pretty spot on. They were all pretty good.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, I mean, like just the production design was good. You know, all of the areas seemed lived in. You know,
Mhm,
nothing seemed
mhm.
too shiny or new.
Yeah.
Everything seemed everything seemed like it belonged. So, um, yeah, honestly, I don't even remember the music. Um,
Mhm.
I
I
think
really
James
don't
Horner
either.
did the score, but at this point, like James Horner is like an institution, and so if you've heard it's almost like John Williams, right? If you've heard one John Williams score,
Mhm.
you know what? John Williams has done such a good job on so many movies. I almost actually don't want to compare him. That I think John Williams exists in his own sphere. James Horner is a great composer, but I don't think this movie was a standout in any particular way. It was just a good score for a movie. Uh,
Mhm. Mhm.
yeah, I mean, there was nothing that maybe like, oh wow, like I still remember uh, the Oppenheimer score, right? Like I still remember that one. That still has like resonance with me. This one, I saw it just a couple days ago. I don't really remember the music,
Yeah.
so it wasn't bad, but it just wasn't particularly
No,
memorable.
I 100% get what you mean, yeah.
But yeah,
Mhm.
acting was good and the special effects were impressive. Uh, it's like, man, they really wanted you to see. We got these little holes in the back of our heads, and you
Yes,
can look through it.
yes, yes.
Look at these
I actually am very
robots.
surprised, like you're saying, that it was maybe only $80 million or something. Because 'cause I'm like, how much money were they dropping to have most scenes to remove the back of people's heads and add in technology?
Yeah, I don't know.
Apparently not a
This is a
crazy amount. It stayed at 80 million overall.
Yeah. Now this is a complete side tangent, but this is just because I'm into this stuff and I've shared this with you. There's some technology coming down the pike where they're going to be able to accomplish that level of uh computer generated imagery on smartphones. So like maybe this is
Yeah.
like the first crack at it. I'm pretty sure I mean, I remember watching the end credits, and I think a lot of the technology that they kind of honed in on for like the Mandalorian, like the volume, like
Yeah.
that I think they used a lot of that. For those of you who don't know, the volume is like this big, gigantic wraparound LCD, like series of LCD panels that just kind of wraps around, and
Yeah.
they create an environment and a computer program, Unreal Engine, and then they uh, they connect the computer of the that's generating the background with the cameras so that everything's in sync, so that as the character's moving around, uh, the camera's moving and following them and the background's responding by moving as it needs to in a manner consistent with the environment. And if you've seen any of the episodes of The Mandalorian on Disney Plus, then you've seen the volume in action and it's
Yeah.
amazing. And I think
Yeah.
it's going to be the
Mhm.
future of filmmaking because you could be in Timbuktu on the Rust Belt or the Bible Belt, so far away from Hollywood, and you buy
Mhm.
like a mobile vehicle and you can create this, and we're gonna get a whole lot of really good movies as a result of this.
Yeah.
Whole lot of
Yeah.
really good car chase scenes and things like that. So this technology is amazing. And I
Yeah.
think they put it to good use in this movie. Not in every scene, but in a lot of those scenes, I think they put it to really, really good use. And that's
Mhm.
kind of, I think right now it's almost proprietary. It's not quite proprietary to Industrial Light and Magic, to ILM, but I think they're the pioneers of approach to
Yeah,
filmmaking.
yeah,
So
they are.
I
Yeah,
really like that. I'm a big fan of that, and I look forward to seeing it in other films.
yeah.
So all that to say, the special effects were great. The set design was great, and the acting performances were great. And that's kind of
Mhm.
those are my pros for the movie.
I agree on all those counts, and I'm trying to think of if there's anything extra on top of it, any other specific areas. Well, the story did have promise. I like the skeleton. I like the what is in the story, what it could have been, and what things that did happen. But yeah, as we agreed already, it just could have been executed better. Could have been a longer movie. Could have been more lived in. Could have felt more gratifying if they had given it more time. But try not to go back to the negative.
Yeah.
Alfie really did enjoy that kid's acting. I am always impressed when a kid's able to, when a crew's able, a director's able to get believable acting from a child actor. I don't know how old the child is. I think oftentimes they'll maybe have a little bit of an older kid playing a younger kid. Happens all the time with any age,
Stranger
just about.
Things. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Kid was really cute and emoted in some of the best ways and moments when necessary. Um, I guess one thing, yeah, as far as the aesthetics go, I'm a big fan of various kind of anime, all types of anime, and I could tell there was very clearly anime, Japanese cinema inspiration, which makes sense because it also already was, made by the director who did Rogue One, which is inspired by Japanese cinema. But this movie didn't have to either, but it happened to be. And yeah, like when they first found out being is Japanese, written on the enclosing doors, and it just that winds up happening all over the place, and it reminds me of some of the various different Ghost in the Shell and other type of Battle Angel Alita and other type of cyberpunk anime like Appleseed and stuff like that
Yeah.
I've liked over the years. So that definitely was cool to see come to life and it be believable.
Oh, quick little tidbit. When the guy tells me, "Hey, stay here. I'll be right back. Don't go in there and find the golden child." On the sign on the top of it, that round entrance, like that round door or whatever, in Japanese it said "stay back, stay back." So I kind of I read a little bit of Japanese, so I saw that. I was like, "Ha ha, yeah, I know what they're saying."
Yeah,
But
that was good.
yeah, I mean, you could have figured it out just from context clues, but I was actually able to read it. So so that's plus 1 point for Austin for reading Japanese. Just for those of you
I know,
keeping
right?
score at
Yeah,
home.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I
Oh,
love that kind of aesthetic because one of my favorite series of all time is Evangelion, and well, Gundam's super dope as well, and we wind up seeing all that kind of stuff, in the design of those series as well, especially in like military sort of like facilities and everything.
yeah.
Um,
Oh yeah, I thought the cartoon that the kid was watching was kind of, it wasn't anime, but it was kind of interesting. It was like, oh, it was almost like it was like Avatar or something like that. It's like, oh,
yeah,
that's kind of fitting.
it looked like it was directly a propaganda for Alfie to
Yeah.
instill her destroying Nomad and
Right.
instill into her the goal of destroying Nomad. But yeah,
Right.
it was looking good. Um, there was some music in here also that I feel like I had heard from anime as well. Like there were a couple like actual songs, but anyways, yeah, I know I'm not. I think my excitement for this movie is I was just let down, and so I just kind of don't always feel like I have a lot of things to say when that winds up happening with the movie every now and then. So yeah, who would you say this movie is for?
If you really liked movies like I think, was it called Section 8 or Sector 8? It was like the robot South Africa apartheid Johannesburg movie. It was like the
District
insect
9.
aliens. Which one?
District 9.
Yeah, District 9, Section 8, District 9. Yeah, 8 Mile, you know. um, yeah, so if you like that movie, if you liked Elysium, if you liked, I mean, I guess if you like the Terminator movies, technically, If you liked any of like the I was sitting here with Colonel Custer to destroy the Native Americans, but now the Native Americans are my friend. If you like any of those movies, like Gone with Dances with Wolves or Last of the Mohicans, maybe Fern Gully, I don't know, maybe Avatar. If you like those kinds of movies and you're able to overlook plot holes because you just kind of want to enjoy it, and you can just kind of enjoy the movie on a surface level, this movie is going to be fine. Like, this movie will have a very comfortable home on Max or on Netflix, on whatever streaming platform it ends up on, and people will watch it. It's like, oh yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, not a great movie, but not a bad movie. I mean,
No.
we're being very critical of it, and we're giving a very
Yeah.
kind of like direct assessment, but I
Mhm.
wouldn't call it a bad movie. And it doesn't, to
No.
quote you, Josiah, it does not commit the cardinal sin of being boring. It's
Uh-huh.
just a series of like missteps and missed opportunities. But
Yeah.
if you're just looking for something to watch, and it's just kind of like, it's got some good action scenes, it's got some good special effects. If you like a certain level of eye candy, this
Yes.
movie would be for you, I would say.
Yeah. I 100% agree. And I'll add a little bit on top of that. Austin and I, its execution did not wind up working for us. I think there are going to be people out there that feel like it told enough story for them to enjoy what they set out to do. So, yeah, there's a little bit of each person's, going to get their own out of it, something different out of it, or I'm forgetting the name of the cliche. Anyways, so I'm just, yeah. If you like all those genres and those type of things, you may actually very much enjoy this movie still, and are able to make some logical connections that we feel like weren't represented on screen, and are cool with it. So, yeah. But yeah, I was insane. There were admittedly some times where I was actually bored, but it wasn't for most of the movie. I feel like it was maybe like 2/3 into the movie. I found I just was experiencing the lack of execution, and I kind of was like pulled out of the movie for a little bit. But it did actually, still entertain me, and they didn't just have characters twiddling their thumbs and like saying they need to do some things and failing over and over and over. Yeah, it still was able to move forward and wrap up the story. All right,
Yeah.
man. Well, yeah, there's gonna be as you guys know, there's gonna be some highs and lows when it comes to cinema. Everyone's opinion's gonna be a little bit different. This is how we felt about it. Thank you for coming on in and checking out our thoughts on this film. Appreciate you always dropping on by. Thanks, Austin, for being down to check out this film and chop it up a little bit about it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And just so you guys know, we still have a couple movies on backlog that we're going to be doing reviews for. So stay tuned. We did this review before we did our Barbenheimer review, but that Barbenheimer review is forthcoming. So stay tuned for that. And I think we have maybe one other movie, or maybe not. Maybe it's just a Barbenheimer, and that's like a 2-for. So, yeah, stay tuned for that. We have a lot of thoughts on that movie. God knows I do. On one of those movies more than the other, but we'll get to that. We will get to that in due time. So until then, I have been Austin,
and I've been Josiah.
This has been the Super Cinema Bros podcast. Thank you for joining us, and until next time, God bless. Peace.
God bless.